In the meantime, from overseas today, Britain's Ministry of Defense is today refusing to comment on a report that their pilots spent years trying to shoot down UFOs. It allegedly happened a number of times dating back to the 1980s. Well, Nick Pope is our guest. He made this information public. He's also the former head of the Ministry of Defense's UFO project. So if anybody knows, we think it's you, Nick. Now, you say that they've been trying to do this for about 30 years. How do we know that?
The Ministry of Defence here in Britain has been investigating UFOs since the 1950s, but other countries as well have had these sorts of incidents, and I think it's a question of trying to put them together and see what pattern emerges.
Now, you said in your quote is saying that we want to shoot down a UFO that will resolve the issue once and for all. To your knowledge, have they ever been successful?
No, they haven't, and I mean, I'm personally, of course, not advocating that sort of strategy. But what I was saying is that every country, whether it's America, Britain, whatever, takes the territorial integrity of its airspace very, very seriously. Whatever you think about UFOs, whatever you think they are, whether you're a skeptic, you're a believer or whatever, this is a defense issue, it's a national security issue, it's an air safety issue, and while rules of engagement are, of course, highly classified, the last option is, of course, always a shoot-down.
All right, now, you have said that the Royal Air Force would only engage when they perceived a threat. Well, how do you define what is a perceived threat? Is that the pilot's call?
No, yes, under some circumstances it has to be. If a pilot believes that they're being fired on, but we've had some cases in England where there have been virtual dogfights between UFOs and military jets.
Dogfights?
Yeah, the dogfights, yeah, absolutely. These things, the UFO issue suffers, I think, from an image problem. But actually, if you look behind the silly season stories about this, these things are seen by pilots, they are tracked on radar, and there have been many, many incidents on the record over the years
Nick,
of these sorts of things.
If there was a dogfight, pardon the interruption here, over the hills of England or the countryside of England, we'd know about that by now, would we not?
Well, yes, and indeed that's the exciting news. The Ministry of Defence is in the process of declassifying and releasing its entire archive of UFO files going back decades.
Now, we've had a little bit of that back here in our own country, okay? Different parts of the country, New Jersey and Arizona, and what they've concluded in some of these cases is that neighbors are filling up helium balloons, putting a flare on the bottom of it, lighting it, letting it go up in the air. So it looks like it's drifting in a certain pattern or a certain area, but it's not a UFO, Nick.
Yes, of course. 95% of UFO sightings do turn out to be things like these helium balloons and aircraft lights. But that's not what's of interest to the government and the military, of course. They're interested in these UFOs when they're tracked on military radar systems and when they're seen by pilots. Commercial airline pilots have seen them, military pilots have seen them.
Nick, are you a believer?
On the balance of probability, I think it's more likely than not that we're not alone in the universe. Whether these things are extraterrestrial or not, I don't know. But we need to be treating this as a serious issue, I think. When we have these sorts of incidents in our airspace, it makes it a national security issue.